This is my video for assignment 4, question 4, to generate a PWM signal with a variable duty cycle. So here is where I set up the LED and the pins for it. And I'm using alternate function 1 so that it's connected to timer 2 channel 1. And I'm using A0 for this pin. And then here is where I set up the timer. I want a prescaler of 39, an ARR of 999, and just to start off, we want the CCR1 to be 100 for the 10% duty cycle that it will start with. And then here I'm setting the mode to be PWM mode 1 so that anything below 100 is high. And then here is where we make sure that the counter is enabled, and we're enabling the output for channel 1. And then what I'm doing here is I'm setting up the button. So I'm making sure it's an input, and I'm making sure it's a pull down. And then I'm using a interrupt approach for the button. So I'm enabling the interrupt, I'm setting its priority, and I'm enabling the clocks. And then over down here, you'll see this is the interrupt handler. So anytime it sees that the button is clicked, it will add 100 to the CCR1. So if it was 100, then it would go to 200. And that would make the duty cycle go from 10% to 10% to 20% for that example. And then if it's ever reaching 1,000, we want it to actually be 999 for the 100% duty cycle. And then if it's ever at 1099, so right after the 999 one, then we want it to go back down to 100. And then it'll clear any IRQ flags. And then here is my main with the calls for the initializing of the LED pin, the timer pin, and the interrupt pin, and the dead loop. And then here is the code in action. This is at 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%, and then back to 10%. And this just goes on forever.